everyone, I'm Laura.
And I'm Jessica.
We're two moms from Colorado doing the best we can not to mess up our kids too badly or rip out too much of our hair. We started this podcast back in 2018 as a way to get together and just talk about being moms, venting and sharing funny stories.
We try really hard not to be preachy or give out advice. We just want to talk. However, we don't mind sharing your advice and we love sharing your stories. So send those emails to theparentmemoirs@yahoo.com.
Now that you have a lay of the land, let the madness begin. Love your faces.
Keep it sane.
I love you, Mommy.
What?
It's time for the parent memoirs. All right, recording. Yay! So welcome to another kind of sad episode of the parent memoir. I'm Laura Mack.
I'm Jessica James. So
Go ahead.
are we going to kind of touch on the fact that our shows have been kind of a downer lately?
They have been kind of a downer lately. So for those of you, we actually had somebody who got a little cranky with us on the YouTube comments.
Yeah.
That were like, imagine using the deaths of children to try to, promote your own podcast.
No.
Like, this is disgusting and blah, blah, blah. And what seemed to touch them off was our intro saying we just get together and share funny stories.
Oh, well, that's...
And you know what? I could see their point. So for those of you who are listening going, wait a minute, you're sharing funny stories? We do. That's the format of our normal show.
Right.
We sit around, but we kind of got sucked in to two cases. The Lori Vallow case and the Gannon Stouch case.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I've heard other people pronounce her Stouch,
Oh, yeah?
not Stouch.
Oh, well.
I don't know if it's Stouch or Stouch. I have no idea.
Okay.
But anyway, we got sucked down the rabbit hole of these two stories, and we decided to do a deep dive on the Lori Vallow case. So no, we do not think these are funny stories. That's number one. And number two, I understand your frustration, sir. Or ma'am, whoever it was that complained. But we don't make money off of this podcast. Like, we're not trying to promote ourselves to make, like, we're not these, like Inside Edition or something. Like, we're not. We're just two moms, like, literally from our intro. We're two moms who really like doing this because it's fun.
Right.
Like,
it's fun, and it, and when we get together and, like, do our normal topics, we do it also to help maintain our own sanity, because it's helpful for moms to bounce crazy kid shit stories off of each other and realize we're not alone.
especially right now.
Right. Because we're
Like-
stuck in our homes with all of our kids.
I will say, I truly think that even because there is a way that we figured out through this to record remotely to where we don't even have to get together.
Right.
And I think part of that, me doing that with you, me doing that with Tanya on our sister show, Q is in Cucumber, I think that's one of the things that's honestly kept me sane.
Right.
Because it has been like a little like conduit to the outside world.
Right. To another adult.
Right. Yeah. And not because we're trapped. all
Right.
day. And yes, I have my husband. But seriously, how many times can we have the same goddamn conversation about how he wants to fix the garage? Like, seriously.
Right? Right. And my husband's on the road. And yeah, sure, he's a phone call away. But,
You don't
he's
even have
busy. I get busy. The only person I really have as an adult to talk to throughout the day without having to pick up the phone or something is myself. And quite frankly, that makes me feel a little more batshit crazy than, taking 10 seconds to call somebody.
So let me kind of fill you guys in. We do not, if you notice from our previous two episodes, we do not have the test here. The test was here.
Yes, the test was here.
And
The
she had
test
to go
was here,
home.
and things got crazy.
And we weren't able to finish up this whole story because it's a long ass story.
It's a doozy.
So at the end of our last episode, we paused it thinking we'd be able to get together and finish up before she left, but unfortunately we weren't able to do that. So it's just me and Jess here,
Yes.
finishing it up. But I will say I kind of like the fact we didn't finish up and that we're putting this out in between because you guys like blew up the YouTube comments and the emails for both, because I put this out, the first episode out as a bonus episode on Q as in Cucumber. And the Q as in Cucumber fans also were emailing, have you seen this? Did you know this? Oh, you left out this detail. And I mean, so many things that I was like, oh, damn. Okay.
Right.
Cool. So it's kind of nice. Like, now I get to integrate that into the show. So, what's up?
I don't think we did an introduction yet.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do it again.
Well, I don't know. I just couldn't
Just in
remember if we introduced ourselves.
Just in case, we can do it again. So, welcome to another episode of The Parent Memoirs. I'm Laura Mack.
I'm Jessica James, possibly again.
I'm not sure if we did.
I don't think we did. I think because we just started talking about, like, that we're gonna, get back to some of just our more...
Oh, I think you're right.
Our normal,
I was about to do it, and then we
and then I interrupted you.
Okay.
My fault.
I guess she's right. There we go. I don't...
My moment of being correct for the year.
Honestly, I'm so fucking happy today Mercury is out of retrograde. It has been the most bonkers, bizarre-ass shit to where you're just like, how in the fuck
It's like
did that happen?
It's like we're living a real life, batshit crazy world of Tiger King.
There you go. Tiger King infected. The second that documentary was released, it was like a virus that spread. It's like the coronavirus. Like, maybe that's part of what you get. You get like the coronavirus and a little bit of Joe Exotic. Like Joe Exotic-itis or something.
Right?
I don't know.
Everybody's just lost their mind.
Everybody has. Plus, it's not even just everybody. It's like my poor parents, like they came over last night because we got the new deck and we decided, and because of some other things, we weren't able to celebrate Father's Day with my father-in-law.
Yeah.
So we were like, we'll do a barbecue. Mike and Robbie, my in-laws, hadn't seen the new deck. So we were like, come on over and we'll have a little Father's Day.
Yeah.
Right. Well, my parents come over and they're talking about how the washing machine had gone out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But then in the process of the washing machine going out, they do have this like baby monitor system that they had installed when my sister and I lived in the house. Mm-hmm. And it's old, but it's worked out well. Like when mom and dad are like, come up for dinner.
Yeah.
Like, and they've left it there now that they have grandkids because now they can just put it on and they literally leave it on all night so they can hear TJ.
Right.
Like, what's he doing? Well, they heard this noise and because TJ had just been there. And they had left the baby monitor on. Well, all of a sudden they start hearing this noise in the baby monitor while the washing machine is making this like clunk, clunk, clunk. Mm-hmm. As soon as they turn it off, they hear this noise that's running on the baby monitor. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? And they go downstairs and literally the pipes are backing up in the basement. And thank God they heard the noise because it's still on the concrete.
Yeah.
It hadn't spread out into the rest of the basement yet, so they were able to keep it contained. But this guy comes out and he basically is explaining to them what the issue is, and he's like, well, we can do this, but if that doesn't work, we're going to have to rip out all of your walls.
No.
And mom and dad were like, what the fuck? And they thought he was just trying to scam them. They brought somebody else out. He said the same damn thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy God, what the fuck is occurring? Ooh.
What?
Sorry, your air conditioner kicked on and all of a sudden the lights were like reflecting and all of a sudden it was like spinning around and making little lights on the ceiling. I was like, ooh, that's pretty.
Squirrel.
Sorry, squirrel. That was a total squirrel moment. Very sorry. See, this is the tone of our normal show. Yeah. We just sit around and talk.
Right.
That's just what we do.
Well,
and we're going to do a couple just sitting around and talking episodes after we're done with all this Lori Vallow stuff. Take a little break.
Yeah, we need to get back to our normal business. But no, and then and I had plumbing issues at our rental house.
You did.
Tess had her sewage lines bust in her house.
I'm telling you, it's Mercury Retrograde because this all happened in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, it's just
stupid.
I'm just really glad that it's over. But today we were recording, Mercury is officially out of retrograde. So maybe some things will start to get to back to normal, and just be a normal level of crazy. That would be awesome.
It would be awesome. I would appreciate it.
So let's talk about some of the additions for the emails we got. So one of the listeners, actually, let me find my phone.
We're going to read something?
Yeah, but I want to give a shout out to the people who sent us the messages.
Yeah.
So somebody named David Marimi. I'm so sorry. David Marimi. So sorry if I'm saying that wrong. He commented, keep these up. I'm telling you, this whole family killed those kids. Everyone's involved. I think he's right.
Yeah.
I think there are more. I do believe that some of the family members know more
Yeah.
than they are saying. Amanda Kale commented, I knew a man, and thank you for this, because you remember I was talking about how I thought his name was stupid?
Mm-hmm.
She points out, which I knew this, but it didn't occur to me because of they don't seem like these people.
Yeah.
But she pointed out that it's the French pronunciation of Guy is Guy, like the Guy Fawkes mask.
Okay.
Like, from V as in Vendetta.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, that mask is called the Guy Fawkes mask. Like, it's, in French, Guy is pronounced Guy, and it is a name.
Okay.
Like, I guess for Americans, I don't understand why you would name somebody Guy. Like, I think it's a lazy name. Like, hey, you, or fella, or dude.
Right.
Like, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. But Amanda Kale commented, I knew a man with that name. It's French and pronounced to rhyme with me. I love you guys. It's my first time listening. I've been following this case since January. So thank you, Amanda.
Yeah,
We appreciate it.
We love you too.
Betsy B replied, I think Melanie was driving the Jeep. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Actually, Betsy B, I'm going to save that comment.
Yeah, because we haven't really gotten into Melanie yet.
No, we have not.
But we will.
I did think this was kind of, in one way this is funny, but in another way it's kind of heartbreaking.
Okay.
There was a court appearance that they did over Zoom with Lori, and the way that they have it on the screen, it's like 4 boxes because they were all doing it remotely.
Yeah.
So it was Lori and her lawyer,
Okay.
the prosecutor,
Okay.
the judge, and then her oldest son and his wife. Which, by the way, his wife is gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's like the cutest little thing.
Good
Oh my
for you,
God.
Cody.
Good for you, Colby.
Sorry.
Colby. That's okay. You're totally fine. Totally fine. His wife is absolutely adorable. I'll show you a picture of her. She's really cute.
Okay.
But anyway, at one point, her lawyer says she would like to be referred to as Mrs. Daybell. And fucking Colby's eyes, like, you could tell he's probably been given some direction, like you cannot have outbursts, you can't make faces, you can't do anything that could be distracting. But you can tell his eyes nearly roll back so far that they end up in his throat. Like, you can just tell he's like, really? That's the concern right now.
Right.
That she be called Mrs. Daybell. Like, oh.
Yeah.
So a listener sent that to me. So, let's see, what was that listener's name? Megan. Thank you, Megan. Oh, this was super interesting.
What?
So you remember I said that she had the 2 brothers, Adam and Alex. Alex
Yes.
was the crazy one,
yeah.
Adam's not. Get this shit. Now, this clearly does not seem to be his fault, but
Okay.
I did think it was interesting. Adam Cox, the not crazy brother, was also investigated for a death. So the not crazy one was involved in a death as well.
Well, we know he was investigated. Was he proven guilty?
No. So here's
okay.
what happened. It was, like I said, it's not like, oh, this is suspicious, like he didn't do anything. But it was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
He was a DJ.
Mhm.
Just remember we were talking about the book,
Yeah.
My Crazy Radio Life.
Yeah.
They had a contest where they had said, it was like, don't pee for a wee. Like, and it was, we're going to have you chug all this water, and whoever can not pee the longest, hold it the longest, gets a free wee. Right?
Okay.
And this mom, this listener, was trying to win a wee for her kids, and she got water. She like OD'd on water, which you can do.
Yeah.
And she died. And it was a contest hosted by the radio, and it was his show. So he was actually, him and like his staff, everybody, they were all fired. And then they were all named in a wrongful death suit and all this stuff. And he's like, the radio told us to do this contest. So we did the contest.
Right.
Like, and they eventually, like, him in particular, they cleared of wrongdoing. Yeah. But I was just like, wow. There's just, for some reason, death seems to follow this family.
Right.
I can't figure it out. And you know what? There's even another death that we're going to talk about. Somebody sent us, somebody pointed out, one of our eagle-eyed listeners pointed out something that they saw that they were like, I think you might have been a little wrong. And yeah, I think we were. We'll get there.
Uh-oh.
Bonkers.
Well, that kind of makes me happy that people would be like, you got this wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's not necessarily, well, I guess it is wrong, but it was more like, because there's not a lot of information out there about this. And it took me a hot minute to find it. I was like, wait, what? And I still don't have the whole story.
Yeah.
Because the person who saw it didn't have the whole story either. They just pointed it out to me and they were like, can you find out anything about this? Because I can't.
Yeah.
And I went digging and dear Lord, it took a while.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn.
Huh.
That was a fucking pain in the ass, but still interesting to know.
Yeah.
So one of our Cues and Cucumber listeners, his name is like Buddha for Buddha.
I like that.
He contributes to Cues and Cucumber all the time. I love him so much. Hi, Buddha for Buddha. All right.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it. So he said Charles Vallow's lawyer, Charles Vallow had told his lawyer that he was being threatened, right? Mm-hmm. But get this. There's body cam footage of Charles from back in January of 2019 where around the time he filed for the divorce, mm-hmm. where it's from the cops because Charles was trying to serve like one of those like you're nuts and the court wants to take you to get you evaluated.
Okay.
Like petition, like subpoena thingies.
Yeah.
And they were separated and he thought she was at this particular hotel. Mm-hmm. So he had the thing and he called the cops and the cops showed up and he's on the body cam footage saying like she thinks she's a god. And he asked the cop like, are you LDS? Like, are you Mormon too? Do I need to shorthand? Can I shorthand this or do I need to give a lot of explanation?
Right.
And they were like, yes, I'm LDS. So he could kind of shorthand it and he was like, she thinks she's, sent to lead, zombies and 144,000 and all this stuff. And I mean, it's there. And it's really kind of interesting body cam footage because you can see him mm-hmm. and you see just how completely freaked out that man is.
Yeah.
Like, God, he tried so hard and he knew it. He was saying to his lawyer, she's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And by the way, who was it that sent that? Kelly sent that, mm-hmm. saying that he hadn't changed the beneficiary on his life insurance policy.
Right.
Before she tried to put the password on.
Right.
So what happened was he's telling them, I'm freaked out, she's going to kill me.
Yeah.
And then his lawyers were like, well, then you need to update your life insurance policy.
Yeah.
Okay. Just in case.
Yeah.
He called the life insurance and that's when he found out, oh, somebody called a few days ago and put a password on my account. Yeah. And that's when he was like, whoa, what the fuck? So it wasn't that he changed it and then they called him saying, somebody just tried to put a password. No. By the time he called, they were already plotting this shit. Like, allegedly. Oh, and I did forget that's the other thing Kelly said, the Nick Schneider thing. You're absolutely right. So, at a certain point, Lori refused in conversations with Charles. Mm-hmm. She was refusing to call him by his name.
Okay.
She was insisting on calling him Nick Schneider.
Okay.
And the reason why was because she flat out just told him, you are not Charles anymore. A demon or a slug or a zombie murdered you. And that demon slug zombie's name is Nick Schneider. And you are now Nick Schneider, inhabiting Charles's body.
You know, I think it would have been nice if this lady was, like, cracked out or something on, like, some kind of drug. So at least we'd have that as an excuse to be like, oh, it's the crack.
Right.
It's the LSD. You know?
At least with some people you can say, like, what's her name? Carla Faye Tucker. Ugh. Carla, if I could say her name. Carla Faye Tucker from Texas. Do you remember Carla Faye?
No.
Carla Faye was a big deal. She was the first woman to have been executed by the state of Texas for, like, I don't know, 100 years or something. And this is back when, you know, the happiest little murderer on earth, George W. Bush, was the governor of Texas and executed everybody. No, but there's only one person that he ever stayed in execution for. And that's an interesting story. Mr. Henry Lee Lucas. That's a whole other story. But Carla Faye Tucker was this completely drugged out, whacked out bitch who, like, straight up axe murdered a bunch of people. Her boyfriend and the girl he was sleeping with and all kind, like...
Was it PCP?
It was heroin and it was drugs.
Yeah.
It was absolutely drugs. But then in prison, you know, she found Jesus. And I mean, even the Pope asked W to stay her execution. He was like, nope. But I mean, she could say, like,
right.
I know it was the drugs. I'm so sorry. Like, and she had that as an excuse. And
right.
I mean, there were all these, and even in her last moments, she was like, I got it. I know. I did. Like, and she really was that person. This bitch,
she's just crazy. Or something.
I guess her only argument is that she's high on dick. Like, maybe the sex is really that good. Kind of the best I got.
Okay.
Maybe that'll be our phrase going forward. Maybe she's just high on dick.
All right. That's certainly a theory.
Oh my god. So I do want to give 2 shout outs to, there are two people that everybody should follow if they're following this case. There are 2 local reporters, and this is also why we should support local journalism. Like, it's not just the New York Times and the Washington Post, and like local journalists do some great work, especially when they can, because they're embedded in a community. They can really dig in. So there are 2. Justin Lum seems to be like deep into this story. He's a local reporter in Arizona that seems to just have the inside track on a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
And then Nate Eaton for EastIdahoNews.com. He's also like, I've been following their stuff, and a lot of the other websites and things quote their work. They're like,
okay.
You know, Justin Lum reported or Nick Easton reported.
Yeah.
So follow those guys. Okay, so let's take a look here. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the zombies and this preparing a people thing. So preparing a people is their cult. Now, it's a little bit unique because it doesn't seem to have like a centralized like group of people. It doesn't seem to have a leader. It just seems to be this idea that has kind of spread its little tentacles out.
Okay.
And some places said like, oh, Chad started this group.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are statements being put out from some people from the group. So I don't quite understand the whole, like, it doesn't seem to be like, you know, the Heaven's Gate people where there was like a one cult leader and you could clearly identify the cult.
Right.
Like, it doesn't seem to be what this is.
Okay.
But like I said, they're distancing themselves. But how crazy these people are. They did have, in the Dateline special, they did have this woman who was being interviewed. And she's pretty funny. She had gotten kind of sucked into this world. So did her family. Mm-hmm. And her boss was apparently super into this. Mm-hmm. And he was super into this to the point where everything was tied to faith. To the point where if QuickBooks was acting strange, he would come out and touch the computer and pray over it to exorcise the demon from QuickBooks.
Wow.
Like, that's how, like...
Ridiculous?
Yeah,
Yeah.
ridiculous is
That's
a good
word.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
So this is just one of these. They're just nuts. So let's talk about zombies. Here's how they define zombies. Zombies are human bodies that have had their original spirits forced from them and have been possessed by either a demon, and this is literally a paragraph off of some of their stuff. So forgive me, I'm not a moron who can't write sentences. This is what they wrote. It's either a demon, original third of the heavenly host who followed Lucifer's disembodied spirit, once living humans there, to have chosen not to be reborn into another probation. Probation means another life.
Okay.
Okay. I'm telling you, this sentence sucks. Have chosen not to be reborn into another probation, or a worm/slug creature controlled by Lucifer that enters the body to control the host. Now they believe that when someone becomes a zombie, their original soul is now trapped in limbo, and the only way to free them is for the body to die. So they thought JJ and Tylee, for example, had become demons.
Mhm.
Their bodies had.
Right.
But their souls were trapped in limbo. So the reason I think that they kept saying, oh, the kids are fine, don't worry about it, was because they thought, we killed the body, their souls are free, and they're in heaven, so they're fine. Like, that's where they seem to be, like, where their thought process seems to be.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about the chart. All right. So, Mr. Daybell here is, as one of the emails that somebody got a hold of, Chad actually has a chart that he determined who was dark, aka a zombie or a slug or what demon,
Okay.
and who was light, right?
Yeah.
So he has like a system of, because he is God, he is a prophet in his mind, so he determines who is who. So and there apparently seem to be levels between 1 and 5, right? So he will basically like rank everyone. So you rank from a 1 to a 5. If you see on this piece of paper, if there's an L after the number, it means that's what level of light you are. If there's a D after the number, it's the level of dark you are. That means you are a demon.
A demon.
So he rated Lori at a 4.3 light.
And I'm sorry, what is the scale? Like, is it 1 to 10, or does it specify?
The higher, it seems to be 1 to 5.
Okay.
So she's a 4.3.
Wow.
Now Tylee was rated as a 3D. And said that she had become a demon or had, quote, gone dark when she was around 12 or 13. And Lori says, oh, that's the time when she started being difficult. I can't imagine why a 12 or 13-year-old girl would suddenly start to be difficult. You know what? It must mean she's a demon.
Right. Not puberty.
No.
Not hormones. Not entering teenage years. Just level 3 demon. It kind of sounds like you're referring to a video game. Like,
doesn't it? And you know what? One of the guys we're about to talk about, like in here, he says, like, because he comes in from the outside and he's listening to all this going, this straight up sounded like something out of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Like, he flat out said, he's like, this sounded like, an RPG, a role-playing game. Like, this is crazy. Right. Now, on the chart, it said that JJ was currently a light, but that could change at any moment. Okay, so there was an interview with somebody who's been doing all this research on it, and says, I've been researching these documents for a month, all these charts that he has, right? Trying to find out how Chad had allegedly come up with these beliefs. This is so stupid. He does not believe in reincarnation.
Okay.
So I'm very confused as to why how you think you used to be James the Just,
Right.
but now you that would be reincarnation.
Right.
Okay, so he doesn't believe in reincarnation, but he thinks that someone can be, quote, reborn into another person until reaching the ultimate estate of level 6. So reincarnation.
Right.
You jackass.
Right. Being reborn as somebody else is reincarnation.
You idiot. What the fuck are you talking about? And this whole, like, until they reach nirvana, like, that's still reincarnation, you asshat.
Right.
Like, all right, Dick Biscuit, whatever you say. These people just, it's so frustrating because you're just like, you are retarded, and how did anybody believe a fucking thing that you said?
Because it's just that
high on dick.
I don't know.
High on dick. It's gotta be it. That's gonna be the name of this episode. High on dick. My God in heaven.
Well, we need to come up with a better. We have to be able to come up with something funnier than just not just in reference to high on dick. You know, we got to think of a cool like virus name or something.
There you go. Some kind of virus. Listeners, give us a funny name for the disease
of high on dick.
Can't be like dickitis or something.
No, that's already that's already out
simple.
There. Yeah, there's got to be something better out there.
Now, the chart.
The chart.
Here is where we got an email from somebody that they were like, "Can you find out something out about this?" And it straight up, it took forever to find anything out about it. On the little chart,
what world is going on up there?
I don't.
It sounds like they're riding horses.
Does sound. Our children are bouncing around all over the place.
Are we going to put a link for these documents so if people are curious, they can easily access them?
Yes, I will absolutely go ahead and do that. So he sent her this like list of everybody in her life, ranking them like, are they dark, are they light, etc. So it starts off with her parents, Barry and Janice, right? Now, on this list, I don't quite understand this. Maybe if somebody else has figured this out, I can probably dig into it. I'm sure somebody's already figured it out, but I didn't. Trust me, I fell down enough rabbit holes this week. It says Barry and Janice are both 3 L's, but in parentheses after both of their names, it says, next to Barry, it says 1500s France. And Janice says 1600s England. Don't know what that is.
Maybe that was a time period in which their souls originated.
That's what I was thinking, but I'm like, who knows with these assholes?
Yeah.
Stacy, who was the sister who died,
yes,
says she was a 3L on Earth, but now that she has passed, she's graduated to a 4.1L. So she got a promotion when she died.
Wow.
Alex Cox is a 2L, so her little angel brother, psycho brother.
The psycho brother, right.
Yes. Adam Cox.
The nice one.
The nice one, which I think this is interesting. He's a 3L. So somehow he's higher than her angel.
Maybe because she knows that her so-called angel will beat the shit out of somebody for her, which doesn't really seem very light to me.
Maybe. Now, here is where the email comes in from our lovely listener.
Okay.
Do you remember we talked about how there was Alex and Adam and Stacy and Summer with the alliteration name game?
Oh, yeah.
There's a Laura.
What?
Who apparently, I can't find out anything else about this. I literally dug for like 2 days trying to figure this out. Because it says Laura was 3L on Earth, has graduated to 4.1L, just like Stacy.
Somebody else is dead.
Right. I think from everything from the one thing I found, it says from her sister Laura who passed. It sounds like it might have been like a stillborn or like died when she was very, very young or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But there apparently was. So there's Stacy and Summer.
Right.
Alex and Adam.
And
Laura and Laura.
Okay, so there was another L.
Apparently there was.
So, well, there goes our whole theory of her just feeling left out in the family game.
Well, if she died when she was super young, I have a feeling she probably still felt left out.
well,
like-
well, yeah, because everybody else had their name partner.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Was Laura first?
I don't know.
Because
I cannot find out
maybe,
anything about her.
maybe Lori became Lori in an effort to replace Laura.
Maybe.
Because the parents were sad that Laura passed, so they're like, well, I guess
Maybe.
we'll just name her Lori since we don't have
That's
Laura.
a good point. Maybe.
Maybe that's where the jaded...
Because she's living somebody else's life.
Oh, damn. Still not an excuse.
We're
batshit craziness.
No. But like I said, it took me for every article, like trying to Google it, kept telling me like, yes, her sister who died. I'm like, yes, I know that sister who died, but is there another sister who died? Because
Yes.
that's what I assume.
Yes, TJ.
Parent pause.
Yep.
Okay. So, are you taking a picture of me?
No, of myself.
Oh, I'm
For
like,
Tess, she's bummed that she's not here recording for us.
oh,
She sent me a sad face, so I had to send her back a goofy looking sad face.
We will figure out more recording with you, Miss Tess.
Yes.
Okay. So, anyway, now what's interesting though is part of this whole past lives thing. I think Chad, the impression of Chad in general
Mm-hmm.
has seemed up until this point to be, oh, he's this religious nut job
Right.
who bamboozled this woman
Mm-hmm.
and killed his first wife
Right.
just to be with, this new crazy woman.
right.
Right? And he's just crazy and he was maybe just this in love with her.
Yeah.
But apparently, I think it's part of him is still the religious nut job fanaticism. But a part of it, he's just a fucking horn dog. Because apparently, one of the authors that he'd worked with also told her, you and I have been married before. He told Melanie Gibb,
The niece.
Lori's friend.
Oh,
no,
friend,
Lori's
okay.
friend. We've been married before.
So is that just like a pickup line? Like,
I
hey,
think so.
we were married before, so let's get it on?
I think so.
That's
I
more-
think he's just a dog. And apparently there was another woman that apparently he was texting and trying to hook up with right before Lori. Yeah.
So he's all in all just a piece of shit.
He's just a piece of shit.
Right.
Like I don't know, it takes him from being just this complete psycho that you're just like, how could you believe this? To all of a sudden making him a little bit more human to where, oh, he's just a fucking dog.
right.
Like,
It's
ugh.
just it's all just a scam.
yeah.
To get in your pants.
Uh-huh.
Fulfill the dickitis. Or whatever clever lingo we
Trying
come
to-
up with.
Trying to infect her with his dickitis. I don't know. Good
Screwing
Lord.
people's brains out.
Apparently. All right. So let's talk about Tammy, his
Okay.
wife, and how she died. So 3 weeks before she passed, Chad told Julie Rowe, who was the author he was working with, that he said, you and I have been married before. She's the one that got very uncomfortable with, like, this is not LDS. This is not Mormon teaching. I don't know
Good.
what the fuck you're talking about. And she wanted the rights to her book back.
Right.
Right? She told him that Tammy was going to die. She said that he had gotten a message from God saying that he had a vision that he was going to lose her. She said he was highly distressed and emotional about it. And you keep in mind at this point he's already been having the affair with Lori for quite some time. Now, at one point, she wanted to come visit them because apparently she didn't live in the same town, but whenever she came like close, she would stop and visit them,
Mhm.
right? Right before she passed, he told her not to because he said Tammy has been off of her antidepressant medication and she's extremely jealous right now. So you shouldn't come over.
Seems like a good reason to be jealous to me.
Well, for me, it's more like, from everything else that everybody has been talking about with this woman, it doesn't seem like that is normal. Like, this sounds like bullshit, basically, to me. Like, I don't think she was jealous. This whole she's off her antidepressant meds. A part of me is wondering, okay, were you setting it up that she was going to commit suicide? Like,
Okay.
I feel like they were trying to find any way that they could to kill her. And there's another incident that boasts that theory. But and that's what this is. About a week before her death, this was incredibly odd. If you've seen the aerial photographs of their property, it seems like this is something where it's like a lot of land, and there doesn't seem to be like neighbors and stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. Well, about a week before her death, she was coming home, and a masked person walked up to her and pointed what eventually she came to believe was an unloaded paintball gun and fired a few times at her, but it wouldn't fire. Nothing would come out. And she screamed. She screamed for Chad, who apparently was in the house. The shooter ran away. Now, the cops investigated, but they never found the masked man. And they basically said, well, it must have been a prank. Like, they don't know.
Yeah.
And plus, she's sitting here going, because it didn't fire, I think it was just maybe like trying to come up with a justification or explain it away. Like, maybe it was a paintball gun. Like, it didn't fire. Right?
Okay.
So the theory now is it could have potentially been Alex there to shoot her, but the gun misfired.
Right.
So she couldn't show, so she lived.
Right.
And like a week later, she's dead for real.
Yeah.
Seems a little suspicious.
Right? That's
that's
really weird.
The whole thing is weird. It's bizarre.
I don't know. I just keep thinking a paintball gun looks a lot different than a regular gun. But if it's dark and... I mean, I don't know because...
We don't know the details.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Well, there is something... Keep the paintball gun thing in mind. Keep that in mind because that's going to come back here in a minute. So, Tammy died on October 19th. And her obituary said that she passed away in her sleep of natural causes. The family declined an autopsy before she was buried in Springfield, Utah. So do you remember we were talking about the whole why was the autopsy done? And this does kind of blow one of my theories out of the water. I don't understand why he risked
having
he did something
done,
to her. Right. If he did something to her, why would he risk an autopsy? That's number one. And number two, they're saying that the toxicology for some reason is taking forever on her body. I'm wondering what was used.
Right.
If that's what happened.
Maybe he thought it was worth the risk because he just thought he was that good.
Maybe, but get this.
Yeah.
So I found this website that had this information that I was like, whoa. Wait, there should have been an autopsy. It was honestly like a complete, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, like some sort of like, I don't want to say coincidence, but he lucked out.
Okay.
This all happened the way that it did. So the article says, this is from thepostregister.com. It says, Tammy was dancing in her parents' living room in early October. The librarian seemed to be in good spirits and in good health, according to her father. 2 weeks later, on October 19th, 2019, she was dead. By October 22nd, she was buried near her parents' home in Evergreen Cemetery at Springfield, Utah. Tammy's obituary said she died in her sleep. The police said her death was originally thought to be natural. Now, this is a comment from a dispatcher who told Gilbert, Arizona police detective Ryan Pilar on a phone call released by Fox 10. They said, they just kind of looked at her, and I was advised that the family didn't want an autopsy. And they just went to the funeral home, and the family refused an autopsy. Yet Fremont County Sheriff Len Humphrey said that information was incorrect. He said, I know there was a recording that came out of our office. You have to understand that was a dispatcher who was very new and didn't have the complete information. She didn't have all the facts. According to Humphreys, one of the officers first responded to the call about Tammy's death on October 19th. The officer went to the Daybell home in Salem, examined the body, then called the Fremont County coroner Brenda Dye. Dye soon arrived at the home as well. It was Dye's decision not to order the autopsy. Humphreys said an autopsy decision would not have been left up to the family. There wasn't any information or any indication that anything was out of line, Humphreys said. Dye then wrote a death certificate, the details which have not been released. Dye was elected to her position of coroner, blah, 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 blah. This is interesting. Dye was elected to her position of coroner in November 2018. She has a high school education and works as an advanced emergency medical technician at Fremont County EMS.
There should be a little more education behind that, shouldn't there?
Apparently in Rexburg, Idaho, that's the best we can do. Don't quite understand it. Had Dye ordered an autopsy, the autopsy would have been conducted by a trained medical examiner rather than Dye, said Humphreys. Dye declined to comment on Tammy's death. Days after her death, Humphreys said Fremont police received that call from Detective Pilar. Pilar said Daybell's death had gotten his attention due to another case he was investigating. When asked if the detective's phone call was the reason for the exhumation, Humphrey said that was one of the reasons, but there were others, etc., etc. So, it seems like it was just kind of this person who's in charge didn't know Dick.
I wonder if that person who doesn't know Dick knows the Dick.
It's a good question.
Like, maybe, like,
Ooh.
is she, like, a friend of Chad's or something? And maybe that's why, you know, maybe there's some kind of loophole there to where he had an in with the coroner's office, knowing that she could just come in and be like, no, it looks all good, looks natural.
Maybe.
Be gone with you.
Why does... That's a... Ooh. Maybe you should be on the case.
Oh, shush.
Whatever. No, that's a good theory. I like that theory.
I could barely
It's
tie
a
my
small
shoes.
town. Like, shut up.
Some mornings.
It's a small town. I
Right,
mean...
so it's not unreasonable that maybe he knew somebody down at the coroner's office.
Yeah. Maybe.
And especially if he's got this cult with all these non-zombie followers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
2 weeks after her death on November 5th, 2019, after getting a $430,000 life insurance policy on her, which, oh, by the way, her life insurance amounts, Chad had increased.
Oh.
At least, apparently she had more than one policy. They know that at least on one, it had recently been increased.
How convenient.
Big shock. It's funny how all these convenient, you know, happenstances,
Right, little tidbits.
just seem to benefit him. So 2 weeks later, and $140,000 richer, Chad Daybell married Lori Vallow on a beach in Hawaii. 2 weeks.
Right?
Here's what's crazy. I know, right? Good Lord.
That wasn't crazy enough.
I know. This whole thing is bonkers. 9 days after she died.
Okay.
I think that's the timeline. It's just a few days. He publishes this post on his website or in his newsletter or whatever the fuck. Time to move on with my life. After 9 days.
Right.
That's usually something that somebody says a minimum of like 6 months later.
Right.
Not 9 days like, oh, well, 30 years of my life, I guess that chapter's over. What's next? Like as simple as, you know, I guess we're done eating dinner. You want to play a board game? Like,
Right,
that's
yeah.
how I'm like, so 9 days later, he says, I'm ready to move on with my life, and then marries this bitch. Doesn't tell kids. Like, they didn't even know they were married. Like,
Yeah.
that to me, I was like, really? Like, you couldn't wait that much. Now, that seemed to be the impetus for them exhuming the body, right? Now, what I find interesting about the exhumation of the body is they only had her out of the ground for like 8 hours.
Okay.
It was like they pulled her out, got everything, and she was back in.
So then there must have been some easy to find evidence.
I don't know if it was easy to find, but I think after the body's been embalmed and everything,
Yeah.
I think at that point, all you really need to do, I mean, all you can do is kind of pull out the organs and take tissue samples.
Yeah,
There's not really a whole lot more
Yeah.
you can do, I would think. Plus, the way that she died, you would think the only thing that you really need are the organs and the tissue samples. Because
Yeah.
those are going to be what hold any kind of poisons or,
Yeah.
you know, whatever
Right.
that might have been used.
Good
So
point.
it was fast. Her family was there when the body was, because apparently her parents are not fans of Chad, like they weren't already,
Yeah.
because they were watching all this shit that he was espousing, and they were like, what the fuck? This is not Mormon teaching. We don't know what you're talking about. All this doomsday bullshit, all of his books, all this nonsense. They were just like, what?
Yeah.
Look, what? So, yeah, they're none too happy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Now, east@idahonews.com learned, and you and I talked about this on the previous episode, that Lori and Chad's wedding rings had been purchased with, I guess, so complicated. So at this point, obviously Charles is dead.
Right.
Charles, before he died, because he was so freaked out, obviously he changed the life insurance policy to the sister. He also gave the sister, like, his passwords to everything.
Yeah.
Like, if you need it, here it is. And one of the passwords he'd given her was their Amazon account, right? So she could see on the Amazon account that Lori continued to use.
Right.
That it was Charles's account that ordered the rings.
Right.
Right? 2 weeks before Tammy died.
Yeah.
But had them sent to Lori's townhome in Idaho. So they could see before the bitch died, she was ordering wedding dresses and or looking at wedding dresses and rings. Like, planning her wedding before your lover's wife is dead. Kind of, it's a little tacky.
Yep.
Oh, God. Buckle up. We're getting into the niece.
Bum, bum, bum.
Hey, parent peeps. Thanks for checking out part 3 of our Lori Vallow series. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the conclusion coming at you next week. Also, make sure to check out our sister show, Q as in Cucumber, hosted by me and Tanya Edwards, where we talk about the crazy world of customer service. If you enjoyed our show, make sure to rate, review, and share where you can. Love your faces.